Starting Monday morning with Don Wade and Roma, Wall Street Journal's Stephen Moore, and Fox News' Brett Baer. Starts Monday morning with Don Wade and Roma on WLS.
John Kass in the Chicago Tribune.
Hey, everybody. This is John Kass from the Chicago Tribune, page 2, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Sunday. And on Sunday, and I'll give you a little hint, if you go to my Facebook page, you probably could read the column even before it's up on the Tribune website. It's about the Mutzah of the month, in which you basically take your hand, spread the fingers wide, point them at somebody that really drives you crazy, like Chicky Moreno, or maybe those idiots who walked on hot coals for Tony Robbins, the infomercial guy with the Mr. Ed teeth. They walked on the hot coals as part of a Unleash Your Inner Power festival that he convinced them to do, and I guess they burned their feet to stumps. So somebody's going to get the Mutzah. It won't be President Obama, and I'll give my reasons why in the column. Anyway, we're taking calls on my favorite sandwich now, Chick-fil-A, and only because I want the freedom for the First Amendment fries, which they don't have yet, but maybe they will. We're going to go to Mike in Barrington. Mike.
Hello, John. How are you?
Do you like that? Did you get the Sodom and Gomorrah special with the Leviticus sauce, or did you go more with...
Yes, I did. That's what prompted my call. I really have to say that I think Mayor Emanuel here is way off base of making such a statement that he's speaking for the values of Chicago. But more importantly, where do they get off that they say they don't want a business because of their moral beliefs? Well, wouldn't it be terrible if Mayor Daley thought that we shouldn't have any Jewish delis in the city of Chicago? It's just,
I guess they don't want any Greek diners anymore because they're disappearing, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Although there is a Jewish deli, I guess the Belden Deli is back on Clark Street, and I'm told that they even have a sandwich named after me, so I got to try it. It's called the Chumbolone.
Well,
so I hope you like it.
Thank God. But I'll tell you, he really is way off. He ought to apologize for the statement. Even Mayor Bloomberg in New York says that he doesn't have the right to make such statements.
I don't think anybody...
He's got bigger problems than worrying about whether or not we have chicken restaurants here.
What you'll notice is it's easy for many of the people who are opinionating on this to go after Chicky Moreno, the alderman of Portlandia. Or whatever it's called now, that ward. And I like the ward, and I like hipsters, and I like riding bikes, I guess, although I'd rather drive a car. But
he's got bigger problems. You better worry about the crime rate. And where is Jesse Jackson and Reverend Sharpton? Why aren't they out here in these communities preaching to people about the crime that's going on?
Well, they have Farrakhan. They have Farrakhan.
Oh, well, come on. You know better than that.
I do know better than that.
That's ridiculous.
But that's the issue to me.
Yeah,
that we can say Chick-fil-A doesn't have our values because they think a man and a woman should be married. But
exactly.
Farrakhan, who thinks that a man and woman should be married, but also doesn't like as opposed to gay marriage, his values are okay. So I find that to be interesting.
It certainly is. The other part is that I'd like to see him let no crisis go wasted. What's he doing with the crime situation? How is he going to turn that around?
Chicago. There are more American dead in Chicago than there are in Afghanistan this year. Thanks, Mike. We're going to go to Mike on line 2. Mike, what's up?
Good morning, Joan. How are you?
Thank you for pronouncing my name in the French style now that Rush has done it in the German style. Thank you.
Well, I figured if Rush can get away with mangling your last name, I can give it an attempt at maybe I can get some notoriety for mangling your first name.
That's pretty hard to do since it's a hard A. Kass, get in the car. Come on, Kass, get in the car. Anyway, Mike, what's up?
Well, I tell you what, since we're talking chicken and Chick-fil-A and politicians, I wanted to bring to the listeners' attention that they didn't hear it on the news a couple of days ago. But, our Governor Quinn was quick to jump in and support both Alderman Moreno and Mayor
Hold on,
Emanuel.
Well, I think we have. Let's listen to this.
I just think any company ought to be welcoming to their customers. That's the best way to do business. We passed some years ago the Americans with Disabilities Act to make sure that people with disabilities had access to businesses, and they found that they had many new customers. So I think a company that does business in Illinois ought to be one that's friendly to all.
Is that why I call him Governor Jello? Or what? I know that, everyone, in the political nickname business now that I've been doing it for a while, everyone tries to get in on it. I think Don and Roma, my friends Dan and Bruce, they try to call him Quinocchio or something, but that is Jello, okay? In other words, first of all, are gay people disabled?
Fabulous.
Is it a disability? Your sexual orientation is a disability, dude? Or is it that people who believe in the Bible and Christianity, or they're Muslims or Orthodox Jews, do they believe that is that a disability? What the heck are you talking about, Governor Quinn? Can we hear that again? Because I don't get the whole. Where's Jello? Governor Jello? Are you there? Okay, they don't see me. They're not paying attention. Governor Jello again. Can I hear him again? I just want to. We got to diagram this brain of his.
I just think any company ought to be welcoming to their customers. That's the best way to do business. We passed some years ago the Americans with Disabilities Act to make sure that people with disabilities had access to businesses, and they found that they had many new customers. So I think a company that does business in Illinois ought to be one that's friendly to all.
Yeah, thanks, Mike, for the call. Obviously, we know now that Governor Quinn, as I've said years ago, is basically Governor Jello, and not the kind with the floating pineapple chunks, which I really hate. Okay, Calvin on the South Side. What's up, man?
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
Listen, I appreciate you giving me an opportunity to speak. I was speaking on the Minister Farrakhan,
right,
and what he's doing in the black community that others hasn't done. They caller before me mentioned the Reverend Jesse Jackson, Sharpton, and things of that nature. But what I find that is strange is that when a person is doing good, they still getting criticized for it. If Mr. Farrakhan made, and a lot of people believe, they choose to believe whatever they want to believe, that he made an anti-Semitic statement, that's back years ago.
Right.
But now he's doing something right now, and they still hanging on the bad things that they thought or believe he said before.
Well, are you addressing that to me? Are you saying that I'm the one who's doing that?
Well, I'm not saying you specifically.
You can, because I did.
Well, if you did it, that's okay.
Okay, thanks, man.
Heart. I forgive you if you did it.
I'm a Southsider, too. We get along there.
If I'm smart enough to forgive somebody,
right,
I thought they said something.
Take the beam.
Radio, media should be able to forgive if somebody's doing something good.
The issue.
If you're going to change, you got to change, and you got to forget, and you got to forgive.
I'm starting to learn how to do this where I don't step on the caller. I'm sorry, Calvin. It was a good call. Listen, Farrakhan is not the issue. The issue is that, to me, the city has lost control of the streets. They have no cops. That's why Rahm Emanuel, our first Jewish mayor, someday he will be president. I have predicted that as well, had to go to Farrakhan to patrol the streets. It's a difficult issue for him to do because there are people who are pressuring him against it. And at the same time, he also says Chick-fil-A doesn't have the values of Chicago, but Farrakhan does. When Farrakhan, and I watched his comments when he ripped President Obama for supporting gay marriage. So I just find that interesting. We're going to go to a break. John Kass, 89 WOS. When we come back, 591-8900. You want to talk to me? You want to beef or chicken me? I'm here waiting.
89 WLS. The latest news from the nation and across the globe is just minutes away with ABC News. 89 WLS and WLSAM.com.
Yeah, that's the little chicken that's clucking in fear, because in a few hours I'm going to be having my Chick-fil-A. Not that I'm taking a position here on gay marriage, but I'm taking a position on freedom of speech.
Where's the beef?
And you know what? I'm a butcher's son. I grew up as a butcher. I know how to cut beef too, Clara. So at least, you know, when people call me up at the Tribune and say, you butcher, you know, I'm like, yeah, I cut enough beef necks in my time. Ed from Villa Park, you're a Chick-fil-A man.
John?
Hey, Ed.
Yeah, listen, we're old friends. I lived on 51st and Halston.
Oh, yeah, so you remember the Lamex.
I remember your store. And you remember there was another Greek on 51st, the name of Gus?
Yeah, they only allowed 2 of us in the neighborhood at one time. You know, that was the quota.
Right. Anyway, I wanted to remind you that at Ellis Island, there was a beautiful sign that it said something to the effect that I came to America because I heard the streets were paved with gold. He says, but I came here, I found that the streets were not paved with gold, but I had to pave them if I wanted them paved. And that's what happened to most of our immigrant relatives. They helped put in the roads and the railroads and you name it.
When he says you built that, I was thinking of all those Irishmen that came over here who were treated like dogs, who couldn't. Right. They had to use pick and shovel to dig the Calsag Canal by hand. I mean, and they were treated like animals, and people didn't want them around. And then the Greeks came, all 3 of them, my grandfather, and they didn't want them around. And then whoever came, then they didn't want the Italians around, and they, you know, whatever. I mean, it's a city. We're grown-ups, and I want to thank you for your call, Ed. We're going to Lisa in Naperville. Lisa.
Yeah.
Hi.
I was just trying to come up to speed on this, and I thought maybe I misunderstood.
Mm-hmm.
Is Chick-fil-A refusing to sell to gay people?
No.
See, I'm a flaming liberal, social policy.
Then you, as a flaming liberal, you would support freedom of speech, just like
that's the thing,
flaming
is,
conservative.
I think they're designing a politically correct lynching of this person for their ideology and beliefs, and that's anti-American.
That's what happens. It's, you know, Orwell wrote in 1984, and it was true, and I think people from communist countries understand the worst kind of censorship is self-censorship.
Well, the sad thing
because
is
they're
that
afraid
what they're doing is considered to be politically correct. That it's no longer politically correct to have freedom of speech and freedom of religion and ideology.
No, not when the government is getting larger and larger by the day.
If people choose not to go to Chick-fil-A because they disagree with the person who owns it, but when you start organizing a lynch mob, that's a whole different thing.
Well, I hope my column can be sold in the city of Chicago, but I want to thank you, Lisa. Laura says, sorry, thank you.
You're welcome.
Listen, we're going to go to Tom from Schaumburg. Tom.
Good morning, John.
We're quickly, Tom. What's the deal?
Quickly, I think it's very interesting that nobody in the media is really ripping on this guy, Emmanuel, for his decisions. Let's look at the crime rate. He couldn't wait to get rid of Jody Weiss and replace him with an out-of-towner who had no knowledge of Chicago whatsoever. Him and Daley both refused to give Jody Weiss the 6-month extension to his contract that he was seeking, so there would be some transitional period. And what's happened since? Crime rate has gone straight up. People at the beaches are getting mugged by packs of wild teenagers who are knocking them down, stealing their iPhones and their bicycles. In one case, stole a man's rollerblades. This is ridiculous. Crime rate murder rate has gone through the roof. Emmanuel has no control over it whatsoever. He's replaced our cops with a bunch of cameras for speed cameras and red light tickets and this and that. Nobody's ripping him on all of his bad
Nobody is? Do you think, you want me to start ripping them some more? Didn't I do that enough Friday? You want me to beat them up every day, Tommy?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not going to do that, but because you know what? There are times when I agree with them, times when I don't, and on this one, I do not. So thank you very much. Greg from Schaumburg, we have a future of the media question from Greg.
Hey, John. First of all, thanks to Jake for putting you on the air today. I really enjoy it when you're on with he and by yourself.
I really like Jake, and my wife promises to release him from the basement once I leave this building.
The story like Chick-fil-A, you do a great service to us, and Newsweek decided they were going to go strictly digital in the future. And I was just wondering if you could give us kind of an insight as to where your column will be in the future. Do you see yourself at a certain point being totally digital and maybe more video than, say, the print-based?
Have you noticed the videos on the Tribune website lately, Jimmy Weiser?
Yeah, I was giving you the opportunity to really kind of elaborate on that.
Yeah, I think there's what's the future? You know what the future is? It depends on all of you out there listening to me. Do you like what you read? Then tell the people.
I really like your Facebook page, and I like the fact that you interact with us.
Oh, thank you. I try to do that, and everyone's welcome to go on Facebook. I'm going to be moving it to this. I don't like to call it a fan page, because I act like I feel like a big shot, and I hate that, but that's what they call it. So if you go on John Kass Journalist, you'll see Sunday's Moodsa column already there, and we're going to be talking about it later today. I want to thank you, Greg. The issues of the future of journalism basically are about you. Do you like what you read? Do you not like what you read? Tell the editors. If people say, oh, I don't want to sign up for the Tribune because it's free now, but you might have to pay online later. Well, let me ask you something. Can you have all your bosses bring free stuff to my house? I would just like that. I would like you to have all your bosses and those of you in business just bring free stuff to everybody's house and just give it to them free. Nothing's free, right? I mean, that's why we work. Anyway, we got Eric in Dallas, Texas, where I don't think they have Chick-fil-A's, do they?
Oh, absolutely. Chick-fil-A is a Bible Belt entity. It's rare up in the north.
And what's your issue, Eric, of Dallas?
Oh, I don't have an issue. I support Chick-fil-A, and
you like the spicy or the regular?
I got to you because go ahead.
Spicy or regular?
Regular.
Oh, okay.
The Chick-fil-A sandwich with the waffle fry. They're awesome.
Did you get the Sodom and Gomorrah meal, or did you get the Constitution
sauce, Leviticus
fries?
Sauce. That was pretty good.
That's good, huh?
Well, that's how I got to you. I don't know if you know it yet, but Real Clear Politics linked to your article in the Tribune. So I read your story, and you invited us to call in. So I started listening online.
Thank you.
I wanted to let you know that yesterday I went into the Euless, Texas Chick-fil-A, and tell Lisa it's pronounced Chick-fil-A, not Chick-fil-A. Anyway, they were just incredibly busy. So when I got inside, I asked the young lady if she was aware of the controversy, and she rolled her eyes and said, oh, yes. And she said, since it started, we have just been so busy. I think people all over the country are, more than half the country is opposed to gay marriage. And as you said, that's not really the issue.
The issue here, Eric, and I want to thank you for calling, is freedom of speech. Other people can argue the other part of the issue. On that, I'm a Christian, but an Orthodox Christian, but I'm more of the love thy neighbor baby type. Listen, I want to thank you all for being here, for coming around and listening to me today. I filled in for Jake Hartford, a great guy. I love being on his show with him. And it's just something about learning how to do the radio that I like. I know I'm not smooth. I know I'm not, the dulcet tones of Alistair Cook or, I'm not sitting in a wing chair talking to you from BBC. I'm from Chicago, just like you are, and I just like talking to you. And if you're interested, we're going to sit around and talk August 18th at the Tribune's at the Tribune website, Tribune Nation. You can find out about a pig roast I'm doing. We'll be staying up all night cooking pigs for you guys, and hope to see you and hang out with you and drink beer. It's been fun. I love you. Have a great weekend. Thanks a lot.
89.